So before we get into analyzing this execution plan, let's take a moment to describe what each one of the columns means in the execution plan. The first column is the operation column, and that tells us the operation that Oracle is performing in each step. These are operations such as reading a table, reading an index, performing a join, or doing a sort, and there are variations on each of these operations. Later in this module, we'll go through all of the operations you see here and some of the other more common operations so you can understand what Oracle is doing in each step. The second column is the object name column, and this tells us the name of the database object, whether a table or an index, that Oracle is accessing in this step of the execution plan. The third column is cardinality, and what this is an estimate of the number of rows Oracle expects to return from the step. This estimate is based on the statistics Oracle has for the table or index that is involved in each step. This is a useful column to look at in order to get an idea of the relative size of the result set Oracle is producing from each operation in the execution plan. The fourth column is cost, and this is the estimate of how costly Oracle thinks this operation will be to perform based on the amount of CPU and I/O resources the operation will consume. One thing that is important to note is that the cost value you see on any line is inclusive not just of the cost of that operation, but also inclusive of any sub-operations. So for example, on this merge join operation, we see that we have a cost of 208. That is not the cost of the join alone, but that's the cost of the entire subtree and the join operation together. And you can see this if you collapse the merge join operation. And so you can see that that is inclusive of all of those operations underneath it. The final two columns, which I'll scroll to the right so you can see both of them, are predicate columns. These allow you to see a couple of things. First of all, by reading the predicate columns, you can correlate conditions that you specified in your where clause or in a join condition to an operation in the execution plan. For example, I see on this operation here a predicate for the specific student ID, and we recognize this condition as the condition that we specified in our where clause. If you look at some of the other values in the predicate columns, you'll recognize the join conditions that we specified in our SQL statement. The second piece of information that Oracle provides you is how Oracle is filtering your rows. If you have a value that is in a filter predicate, what this means is that Oracle is first reading all of the data that it needs and then applying the filter operation after the data has been read. If you have a value that's in an access predicate, this means Oracle is able to use the condition specified to drive the read operation in order to get the data it needs, thereby only reading and processing data that matches the condition specified in the access predicate. Later in this module, we'll get into access and filter predicates in more detail.